G'day YouTube. Warbles on a lot here. Saturday morning. Bringing in yesterday's groceries. Bit past 10 AM. Does anybody notice what's missing from this scene? The only response is the duty swamp wallaby. Where are the Choughs? Whatever happened to the Choughs? There should be Choughs. There ought to be Choughs. White-winged chough. Corcorax Millenor Hamphos. 43 to 47 centimetres. Woodland open forest, mallee, mulga. Timbered watercourse margins, cypress. Forages usually on the ground, moving forward in a scattered group, probing and scratching, seeking insects and other small ground-dwelling prey. Chough flocks usually build up over several years from the offspring of one pair. Sizes range from 4 to 20 birds. Has rather mournful piping calls, beginning as high, clear musical whistles, descending and becoming more mellow. A pause, then rising high and clear again for the next long downward slide. Tew, tew, tew. Usually given by many of a group together, calls intermingling. In alarm or aggression, harsh, rasping sound. Zark, zark. Locally nomadic, common. There ought to be Choughs. For 28 years there have been Choughs. I think the last time a chough appeared in one of my videos was about the 18th of February. It took me maybe a week to notice that the Choughs just weren't here. And with mounting alarm, I have noted their conspicuous absence. I've searched, but their mud nest, the only one of them that I know of, and I'm pretty sure I've had two mobs of sort of 9 and 7. The main mobs always lived here on that branch. That's where they breed, or used to breed. On the ground, under the nest, never any feathers or bones or no sign of any sudden demise around here. Haven't seen a feather of a chough anywhere. I've gone searching out there 500-600 yards where I think they had another nest somewhere. Can't find any feathers out there. Visual search with 10 power binoculars. Oh, I must have covered a kilometre or so north, half a kilometre west and a kilometre south of my front gate. Any time of the day, there just is no sign of any Choughs anywhere. So it seems it's not just the local Choughs here at my place that have disappeared, vanished, gone on holidays, no longer living here. It might be for a kilometre or so around here, and I don't know why. Sure, summer was unusually hot and mostly unusually dry, and February was dry, but all the other bird species are still around. So unless the choughs have just decided, oh, this bit of the forest is drying out, it's going to burn, we don't want to be here when it happens. Or maybe, perhaps, despite the fact that they had free food and water here, maybe, perhaps, the fact that the dam has dried out and there's no nearby available source of mud for nest building and maintenance could possibly have convinced them to evacuate the district temporarily until the rains return. Possibly, perhaps, one hopes. Because if they haven't moved away out of sense of impending bushfire catastrophe, and if they haven't gone on holiday because there's no mud in the dam for them to build their nest with, then that means that all of a sudden the choughs have just vanished. And I don't think that could have occurred through predation, because they wouldn't try to fight it out with a cat. However, I've long been fearful and aware that one of the things that can occur to choughs is they encounter some young fool who's got a rifle and a desire to save domestic livestock from the perceived threat of being preyed on by wildlife. And a lot of them believe that crows or anything that looks like a crow is a dire danger to a sheep. Because choughs live in family groups, if one young idiot shoots one chough, the rest of them won't fly away. They'll come in and try and help. So whole families can be killed in one sitting by one idiot with one gun. And I got to admit, back around about third week or so of February, I did hear one afternoon, maybe 20 shots one afternoon, spaced out over half, 3/4 of an hour. 22 caliber rifle, probably about a kilometre that away. Inside the range of the choughs that used to live here. I used to see them flying off and back to and from that direction quite a lot. So it's possible that they've encountered somebody out there who thought they were saving the world from the wicked evil crows by taking out this mob of strange little crows with red eyes and white patches on their wings and little curved pointy beaks. That could have happened. But it could have been me too. Because somebody who was living in town and had a romantic interest asked me could I do them a favour and save the relationship by taking food scraps from town, which normally would be thrown out on the ground for the wildlife to eat, because there's wildlife in town too. Their partner felt it was dirty to chuck food on the ground outside the house, raised in the city, you see. So to save the tension of throwing away good food into landfill versus feeding the wildlife, yeah, I was taking the food scraps out here. And the thing is, on a Monday and a Wednesday, no problem, because you pick up the food scraps, drive out here, 15 minutes later, chuck it out. But sometimes on a Friday, you might sort of collect the food scraps on Friday, perhaps having missed Wednesday, so they could be Monday's food scraps, and they're in a plastic bag and they go in the car, and if you come home from town on Friday night, take the bread in, take the beer in, go inside, forget about anything until maybe Monday when you go into town in the afternoon. Oh, that needs to be thrown out. So I know that as I threw out fairly rancid food scraps, and I think there was dead animals in there too, because the love interest was a meat eater. I remember looking at it as it hit the ground and thinking, pooh, yuck, that looks absolutely horrible. I hope that doesn't hurt anything that eats it. But then I thought, well, you know, choughs are like chooks, and I grew up with chooks, and you could chuck anything to the chooks and they'd either eat it and be fine, or they'd leave it alone because they knew not to eat anything that had hurt them. So maybe choughs are not like chooks, and maybe fucking Muggins here has killed the choughs by chucking out fermented food scraps. They seem to be the options. Global warming, two different shots at the cherry. Somebody with a gun who was making the right kind of noises to be killing a whole bunch of choughs, or me not thinking, oh shit, that's a terrible idea, what if maybe I should scoop that up with a shovel and go and bury it under the compost heap where nothing can get to it, because that didn't sort of occur to me till I was driving off to town. So yeah, I'm sort of up there as one of the reasons. If it was not global warming, so just indirectly the fault of humans, then it was direct action by some individual human, and that puts me at being 50% of the possibility of what's happened to the choughs. But something's happened to the choughs, and I don't know how long it's going to take before another pair of choughs decide that they don't like where they're living and they want to come and colonise this place and make friends with me. So my life is not infinitely the poorer, but it is very, very greatly diminished in its friendliness and variety up here at the moment. Yeah, whatever happened to the choughs? Warbles wonders. Ciao. Postscript. There is, by way of rationalisation and perhaps denial, as we regard what's probably the last chough feather I'll find discarded for a while, there is one thing which points to the idea that maybe it wasn't me and me laziness chucking out fermented food scraps, and that is that if I had poisoned them, surely I would have found a whole lot of chough remains when I first started looking for them 2.5 months ago, when I become convinced that they didn't live here anymore. And I haven't found them anywhere around here. You'd think if I'd fed them a bait, they would have been dying all around here, and that didn't happen. So therefore, maybe it wasn't me. Hey, what do you reckon, Swamp Wallaby? Maybe it really was some poor, keen, silly young fool with a gun thinking they were defending the empire of the sheep from the threat of the wicked, evil crows. Who knows? Not me. It's a mystery. Ciao.